There is a moment when the sacred is stripped away, when the numinous dissolves into the cold calculations of logic, and the world that once pulsed with meaning is reduced to mere matter. Atheism, in its modern form, is not merely the rejection of gods, but the rejection of the sacred itself, a severance from the unseen forces that have guided humanity since time immemorial. But what happens when the altar is empty, when the sky no longer speaks, when the temple doors close? Something else must take its place. The human psyche does not tolerate a void, and so something always ascends the throne. If the divine is cast down, the worship of materialism takes its place. Science, politics, ideology, pleasure, power, these become the atheist's new god, draped in the illusion of freedom, but wielding the same demands of faith. The secularist believes himself liberated, yet he is still bound to a system of belief. He denies dogma only to embrace another. In the absence of mystery, there is consumption. In the absence of reverence, there is conquest. When the mountain is no longer holy, why not carve a tunnel through its heart? The unanchored mind, believing itself untethered, drifts toward whatever ideology offers it meaning. Science is turned into a doctrine, its practitioners elevated to high priests, their decrees beyond question. Politics morphs into a religion where disagreement is heresy and faith in the system supersedes logic. Pleasure and distraction become altars of worship, dulling the nagging void left by the absence of the sacred. But this is not enlightenment. This is a slow erosion of the spirit, an unknowing descent into the cold abyss of meaninglessness. The trap is subtle. It is not simply rejecting religion, it is rejecting the entire metaphysical structure that once gave life meaning. The myths are dismissed as primitive stories, the sacred texts as relics of superstition. But in doing so, the atheist discards not only falsehood but wisdom. Beneath the surface of every religious tradition lies a current of esoteric knowledge, a tapestry woven with the threads of consciousness, reality, and the nature of the soul. Symbols are misunderstood as literal events, and so they are thrown away before their deeper meaning is uncovered. The serpent in the garden is not a talking reptile. It is the force of knowledge that shatters innocence. The resurrection is not a magic trick. It is the eternal cycle of death and rebirth within the soul. To dismiss sacred texts as mere fairy tales posing as history books is to overlook their true significance. Yet this shallow reading forms the basis of most rejections of religion, fueled not only by skepticism toward the stories themselves, but also by the undeniable atrocities committed in their name. This is why figures like Carl Jung and Joseph Campbell are so crucial. They saw past the surface, recognizing mythology as the language of the unconscious, the hidden map of human transformation. Jung understood that even in the secular world, archetypes persist. The father figure, the hero's journey, the shadow, these psychological forces remain active whether we acknowledge them or not. Campbell traced the monomyth across cultures, proving that beneath the different names, the story remains the same. To reject religion without understanding its symbolic nature is to deny oneself access to the most ancient, refined insights into the human condition. But what does this rejection lead to? A void must always be filled. For some, it is the worship of materialism, the belief that reality consists only of what can be touched, measured, and consumed. The world is flattened into transactions and statistics. For others, it is ideological fanaticism. They claim to be free from belief, yet they have merely exchanged a church for a political movement, a priest for a scientist, scripture for manifestos. In the worst cases, it spirals into nihilism, the slow erosion of meaning itself. If nothing is sacred, why preserve anything? If existence is a cosmic accident, why not indulge in chaos? Without a higher principle, morality becomes arbitrary. There is no eternal law, no cosmic justice, only shifting social contracts dictated by the whims of time. When morality is detached from the sacred, it becomes a tool of power, twisted to fit the needs of the present moment. History has shown the consequences of such moral fluidity. The disenchantment of the world follows. Nature is no longer alive, the human soul is no longer a mystery, and all that was once imbued with spirit becomes another resource to exploit. The ancients saw gods in rivers and spirits in trees. Modern man sees only potential energy to be harnessed. Then in the most extreme cases, humanity takes the throne. If God is dead, we must replace him. We modify our genes, rewrite our biology, and attempt to transcend nature, not through wisdom but through force. Transhumanism, artificial intelligence, synthetic immortality. These are framed as progress, but they echo the ancient sin of hubris, the desire to seize the divine throne. What if in our attempt to become gods we only make ourselves monsters? What if instead of using our tools to seek truth, we end up worshipping them, forsaking the divine for the illusion of control? Yet atheism is not an irreversible fate. Many of the greatest spiritual minds, Jung, Alan Watts, even the Buddha, began with a rejection of religious dogma before they found something deeper. Many atheists are already halfway there. They have seen through the illusion of blind faith, but they have yet to see through the illusion of materialism. The way forward is not back to blind belief, but into deeper understanding. Religion must be understood as both symbolic and, in some cases, historically rooted. The stories are not merely history, they are encoded truths, metaphors for the journey of the soul, interwoven with real events and figures whose existence, in some cases, remains a mystery. Comparative religion and esotericism open the mind to the patterns underlying all traditions. Hinduism, Christianity, Taoism, Hermeticism, different expressions of the same truths. Science and spirituality are not enemies, they are two sides of the same coin. Science reveals the mechanics of reality, while spirituality reveals its meaning. To pit them against each other is to miss the full picture. Direct experience is key. Spirituality is not about belief, it is about knowing. Meditation, energy work, altered states of consciousness, synchronicity. These open doors that intellectual arguments never can. One does not need to believe in anything. One only needs to experience. Above all, one must remain open yet skeptical. True discernment lies in questioning everything. Not just religion, but also science, ideology, and personal assumptions. The seeker must walk a narrow path, avoiding the cliffs of blind faith and blind rejection. If a teaching expands consciousness, test it. If it demands submission, discard it. The path is not belief, it is transformation. And so, the journey is not about returning to old dogmas. It is about awakening. It is about shattering the illusions that confine our understanding and stepping into the raw, unfiltered truth of existence. The walls of perception must be torn down, the veils lifted, the layers peeled away until nothing but the essence remains. This is not a call to faith, but a call to seeing. The mysteries do not require belief, they simply require eyes willing to open. To those who have rejected the surface of religion, I say, you were right to do so, but do not stop there. Do not be satisfied with the hollow promises of materialism. Do not settle for the throne of a lesser God. Seek deeper, listen closer, and you will find that the sacred never left. It only waited for you to remember. Thanks for watching. If you found value in this video, please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.